Coming up here on the San Francisco 49ers Report, Chase Senior hanging out here with you. Going into this Thursday night affair between the Niners and the Rams at SoFi Stadium, this is a really good matchup, even though the Niners are banged up. San Francisco, big underdogs in this game, 6.5-point underdogs to be exact. I'm going to give you my keys to the game, matchups to watch, what the Niners must do to win this game, and then I'll round out with my prediction for this ball game. Key to the game number one. Whoever is playing at the quarterback spot for the Niners, whether it be Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, I'm recording this show on Tuesday, the offensive line must pass protect. And if the Niners don't bring it along the offensive line, going to be a long night. And it's very simple. The Rams can wreck the game if they own the Niners along the line of scrimmage with their defensive line. And this is a fantastic defensive line. They're very deep. They have a lot of really good players. The offseason addition of Poona Ford gave them a very good run-stopping defensive tackle. But of course, the star along that Rams defensive line, second-year player Jared Verse, who last year won Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I think at some point in the future, he has Defensive Player of the Year potential. Through 4 games, he has an overall PFF grade of 91.5, a pass rush grade identical to that, a good run defender as well, 66.3 the grade there. PFF doesn't count half sacks. He has 2 of them according to PFF. And then his pressures and hurries, 18 pressures, 11 hurries. Jared Verse going up against Colt McKivitz. Big matchup in this game. I think the Rams are going to have Verse mostly on the Niners' right side of the line of scrimmage. And Colt McKivitz has one of the best pass blocking grades in the NFL up until this point. But when he goes up against elite players, that's when he gets exposed. Just got that contract extension. The Niners need him to play well. Does he play well? Verse can travel too, and Trent Williams hasn't had the best year either. Looks as though the age is catching up to him. Jared Verse could wreck the game, and obviously with a strip sack, forcing a pick with the quarterback hit, quarterback pressure, that could turn the tide of this ball game as it did for the Niners against Jacksonville last Sunday. All eyes for this Niners defense have to be on Puka Nacua. And here's the issue. If the Niners defensive line, which could not get home against the Jags, can't get home against Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams, Stafford's going to have all day to throw. He can go through his progressions. He can sit back there, pick some grass, and at some point, Puka Nacua is going to get open. Even when he's not open, he's able to use his size as kind of like a power forward to box out DBs. His numbers through 4 games, ridiculous. He's been targeted 50 times. He has 42 catches in 4 games. Obviously, that's more than 10 receptions per game already. 503 yards. You translate that to a full season, my goodness, 12 yards per catch and 1 touchdown. Going to be a big matchup for Deommodore Lenoir. We'll see if Renardo Green can play in this game. He missed the Jags game with a neck injury. If he doesn't play, and we see Puka Nacua going up against the likes of Darrell Luter Jr., I don't like that mismatch. San Francisco's defensive line has to do something. And I didn't like what I saw from this Niners defensive line against Jacksonville. Now, obviously, I've talked about these numbers this week. No sacks or a quarterback hit in a game against Jacksonville. First time that has happened for the Niners as a franchise since 2015. But in their first game without Nick Bosa, you would think that other players along that defensive line, with how they have attacked this year, will have that mindset of, we got to hustle. We got to play hard. We got to take these plays to the whistle and sometimes beyond the whistle. The hustle and the motor from the Niners defensive line was kind of embarrassing. And I thought Brian Baldinger did a great film breakdown. When Fred Warner had that peanut punch to force the fumble, the Jags offensive line was able to beat the Niners defensive line to the ball. No Niners defensive linemen were hustling after the ball. Inexcusable. And without Nick Bosa, that should give you the thought process of, we have to try harder without a defensive player of the year caliber guy who's now out for the year. And also, this Niners team gave up some explosive runs. Kyren Williams is having a really good year. This has been an emphasis for Sean McVay over the last few years. Make the offensive line better. establish the run, which can obviously set up the play action pass, which the Rams are doing a lot of. And when they have both going, this looks like one of the best teams in the NFL. And if Matthew Stafford has all night to throw because he's not under duress at all, good night. When he does get put under siege, he can turn the football over and he can make some mistakes, whether it's a fumble or a pick. Key to the game number 4. Given what happened against Jacksonville, that was an inexcusable performance. This Niners team doesn't have a great margin for error, especially with their lineup being so banged up. They're missing so many marquee players, and they're young. And so when you make mistakes like you did against Jacksonville, everything becomes bigger, right? And you feel it more. And so you have to protect the ball, and then you have to clean up special teams. Special teams continues to be a joke for San Francisco. And against Jacksonville, the Niners really put together a guide for how to lose a football game. They lost a turnover margin 4-0. When you lose a turnover margin at the NFL level, you lose about 80% of the time. They dropped 6 passes, a lot of those passes in key spots. Kendrick Bourne may have had a house call. Christian McCaffrey, if Brock Purdy puts that on him, tip pass led to a pick. He could have scored a touchdown. The Luke Farrell fumble, next play, 48-yard score. After the Kendrick Bourne drop that I just mentioned, 87-yard punt return for a touchdown. You gave up that punt return for a touchdown. The coverage was dog shit. The quarterback played like crap. Brock Purdy wasn't 100%. Offensive line was bad, had drops, and he didn't play well. All of those things can be true. And the Niners did not generate a pass rush. I mean, that is a 5-step guide for how to make it impossible for your ball club to win a football game. And because the Niners are shorthanded, it's a short week. You're on the road, you are hurt, and you're playing against a really good team. You pretty much have to be perfect in this game, which is why the Niners are pretty much touchdown underdogs in this game. And then lastly, Kyle Shanahan wants to run the ball. That has been the patented backbone of Kyle Shanahan's outside zone scheme. He wants to establish the run and run the ball. When the Niners are able to run it effectively and take the lead early in games, they can dictate the pace, the flow, and the momentum of a game. When they have to play catch-up and they have to throw too much and they can't run it all that much, that's when they really start to fall apart at the seams. And so far this year, the Niners have not been able to run the ball. I don't think it's because Christian McCaffrey looks bad. In fact, I think he looks good. He has the 3rd most all-purpose yards in the NFL. It's because this offensive line stinks, especially in the red zone, especially along the interior. And then you could still run to the left side behind Trent Williams, but he's not the same guy. McCaffrey, up until this point, has 69 carries for 225 yards. He's only averaging 3.3 yards per carry. The Niners are the only team in the NFL without a rushing touchdown. You just can't play that way for an entire season. Now, through the air, Christian McCaffrey's been incredible. 43 targets, 31 catches, 305 yards, 9.8 yards per catch. That's great. Honestly, I don't want to see too much of that because what this tells me, not a lot of other wide receivers are getting open downfield. And so Brock Purdy or Mac Jones has to hit CMC on the checkdowns a lot. He's so gifted in receiving it, but you'd love to be more well-rounded if possible. So with that, predict the score. Niners, Rams. Do you think San Francisco can pull off the upset as 6.5-point dogs? Look, as of this recording, I'm not sure who's going to play quarterback, but I also don't like how this game is shaping up for San Francisco. You are injured. You have uncertainty at the quarterback spot. Your offensive line is not good. The Rams' defensive line is great. You have to travel, go up against an elite team. And the odds makers are saying the Rams are big-time favorites in this game. I think the Rams win 30-20 because these two teams know each other very well. It might be close for a little while, but I think because the Rams are the better, more talented, deeper, and healthier team throughout the course of 60, they end up pulling away.